in and join the conversation.
Driving it home with Patty Vasquez.
Look, we want to be out. We want to gather and have a good time.
On WCPT 820. Stephanie Miller.
California reached the lowest U.S. COVID transmission rate in the country. Here's a little tutorial for all y'alls. All residents, regardless of vaccination status, to wear face coverings in public indoor places. Residents show they've either been vaccinated or recently tested negative before patronizing certain businesses. All children 12 and older in public schools will also have to be fully vaccinated. That's how you get to the lowest transmission rate.
Stephanie Miller, weekday mornings 8 to 11. Sponsored by the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park. Visit 4Porsche.com. The number 4Porsche.com.
This is a potter's field. When people can't pay for their funerals, they are buried here. It is a lonely, desolate place, littered with unmarked headstones. No one visits. No one leaves flowers. But it doesn't have to be that way. For as low as $1 a day, you can ensure your family will have the money to pay your funeral expenses. We offer burial insurance plans that pay up to $30,000. Considering the average funeral costs more than $10,000, that's peace of mind for your family. There are no medical exams, your rates won't increase, and your policy cannot be canceled as long as you make your premium payments. Call now to get approved in minutes and ensure your final resting place is more than just a pauper's grave in a potter's field.
800-323-8137. 800-323-8137. 800-323-8137. That's 800-323-8137. Paid for by Final Expense Direct.
I'd like to welcome you to WCPT AM's Out Chicago. Think of us as Sunday brunch with your gay best friends. Now please welcome your host, Scott Duff.
And a happy Sunday fun day to everybody out there. Scott Duff here along with Ellen Miller.
Good morning, Scott.
Good morning and happy
New Year.
Hey!
Happy
All
COVID
right.
New Year.
Yes, happy COVID New Year. Yeah, I actually just tested positive at 3:30 this morning.
And I just tested negative at midnight.
I know. Look at us. Look at us. We're a yin and yang. You complete me. Yeah. You complete me.
Yes. Mine stopped and yours has started. Anyway.
Yes. So I am doing Quarantine Chicago right here from my home. Ellen, you're back in the studio. Looking gorgeous, by the way.
Oh, thank you. You just haven't seen
me.
So
good. No. Even when I do see you, you're like, girl, you look fantastic.
Well,
the shaggy bangs.
Thanks.
I love it.
Thank you, Scott.
Glamour.
You look good for COVID, too. You look
whatever.
No, you look great. You look fine.
I look like I could scare a haint out of a sticker bush, as Jerry and I would say.
Sticker bush. Nice.
So it's our first show back, and it's show 420.
All right.
How appropriate for this show?
Yeah, definitely. Knowing the two of us. Yeah.
And we've got a good one for our first show of the year. Our good buddy Tanya Richard, host and producer of Tanya's Take, Race, Culture, and the Culture of Race, is going to be joining us. We're going to be chatting about the loss of Sidney Poitier.
One of my all-time faves.
Wow, what an incredible human being he is. Because I think he still lives on.
He lives on, yes.
Yeah, so we'll be chatting with her about his enduring legacy and all of his activism for the civil rights movement. That's, I think a lot of people always focus on, what a groundbreaking, trailblazing actor he was, but also he was just a groundbreaking, trailblazing human.
Yes, he was.
Doing the good
He walked the walk,
yeah.
Talked the talk, as they say.
Yes, ma'am. And also later on in this show, Angela Barnes and Renata Riddle, owners of Nobody's Darling, which is a fabulous new cocktail bar that's a new queer space. They're going to be joining us about talking about opening a bar, a new business during COVID, and the importance of queer spaces for women and non-binary folks. I'm super excited. I love that place, by the way.
I'd love to get there. It's just been between one thing or another, but I will get there.
I know. And the best thing is too, they've got a whole mocktail menu.
I heard. That's another reason I want to go.
Good stuff that's going on there too. And the Puerto Ricans Arts Alliance recently received the Broadening Narratives Grant from the Gaylord and Dorothy Donnelly Foundation for an LGBTQ focused project, and Jorge Felix, studio Arts and Exhibition Program Manager, is going to be joining us in the second hour. And, even though I'm at home, Ellen's there, we would still love to hear from you. So give us a call at 773-763-9278. That number again is 773-763-9278. Of course, you can find us on Facebook, where we are coming at you live. You can go to Out Chicago Radio and tune in there. And while you're there, why not give us a like? Come on, it's a new year. I've got COVID. Do us a favor. There we go. Or you can also tune in at WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk on Facebook. And while you're at it, why not follow WCPT on all social media at WCPT 820 on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and The Tick and the Talks. There we go. Yeah, there we are. How are you? It's been forever. It's going to be a little bit longer until we get to see each other.
I know. I was sad when I got your message first thing this morning. I'm doing great. As Scott, we alluded to, I had COVID over the break. We've been off for the last couple of weeks. I was off the week before we did the best of shows because I was in Tennessee celebrating Christmas, right before Christmas with Kathy's family. We had a wonderful time. And, I started feeling ill right around Christmas Day. I've been sick before then. I kept testing negative, and then I started getting fatigue like the day after Christmas. I was really tired, and I said, I'm just going to test again the Wednesday, whatever day that was, the Wednesday after Christmas. And sure enough, Kathy grabbed all her stuff and ran up to the third floor. I'm like, we've been together for days. We've been together. We sleep in the same bed. We eat. So we separated, and I had the worst New Year's ever because at least I do like New Year's, but I don't do it like out places. I do it with friends. And Scott, I know you've gotten in you do New Year's with friends generally, and do a nice, beautiful meal and have some friends over and then Betty White died, and I had COVID.
I know.
And I was locked in my office, and it was like the worst New Year's I've ever had in my life, between being, crying about Betty White. I wasn't crying about myself because I felt okay, but this is the first time in 27 years that I did not give my sweetie a kiss at midnight. But the doctor told me we could go to opposites. If we wanted to bring in the new year on television, we could go to opposite sides of the room with N95s on to bring it in with the worst local programming of New Year's I have ever seen.
It was so bad.
Because we're home a lot, we host a lot, and we have it on. And it was so horrible this year. I mean, I like the dancing of Cheryl Scott and what's his name, but oh my God, it was just pathetic. So anyway, that's the holiday update. Now, Scott, I had bad news over my holidays. I had COVID and I had a sad little bit New Year's. But Scott, on the other hand, had some beautiful and happy news before this COVID diagnosis.
Yeah.
Tell everybody, Scott.
Yeah, I got engaged.
Yay!
What?
Jerry's finally making an honest woman out of you.
That's true. That is true. I'm finally going to be an honest woman.
I love it. We were in tears of happiness for you.
Well, I was in tears of happiness for me too. It was an incredible day. It actually happened. He proposed on my 50th birthday, which just happened to be the day that you tested positive.
Yeah.
My birthday was the 28th, and I'd kind of resigned myself to it being, since Omicron is now, sweeping the nation, I was kind of resigned that it was like, what? All right. I'm always a little iffy on my birthday anyway because it's such a weirdly timed thing in terms of celebrating.
Yes.
Because it's
holidays and all that.
It's 3 days after Christmas, 3 days before New Year's. People are either, they're out of town or they're broke or they're just plain saving up for New Year. Like, I don't want to do anything. I've been tired. I just want to wait until New Year's Eve. So it's kind of like, you know what? Okay, it's going to be, let's make some lemonade out of this. And I put a list together of simple things that I wanted to do to commemorate 5 decades on this planet. So it was like, I want to take a bubble bath in my friend's bathtub, which is gigantic. I mean, it's one of those huge, 6 foot long soaker tub type of things. And listen to an album front to back in a giant bubble bath. So I listened to the first Indigo Girls album.
Perfect.
and sang along. I was trying to find like the perfect, album for it. It was either going to be that or Tapestry.
Oh,
because
both good ones. Yeah.
Both good ones. And I was also considering Blue, but Blue's a little moody.
A little blue in some parts.
A little blue, even though like both Blue and Tapestry came out in 71. So I wanted to do, because that was my birth year. So I'm like, okay, I wanted to do that. But no, the Indigo Girls won out because they were, very, very special.
A little more
to
uplifting
me.
too.
Uplifting, and of course I'm sitting in the bathtub sobbing, at certain moments. It was just a lovely experience, and then I went and got my nails done.
I see, a silver.
I got my silver fingers and toes.
To match your silver ring.
Well, I didn't know that was going to happen. And then Jerry and I went and we got my favorite burger in the city of Chicago.
Which is from where?
Boppin' Grill.
Oh, yeah. I had one from there.
The Boppin' Grill Umami
Burger, yeah.
With kimchi fries on the side. So it had a little kimchi fries and everything. And we actually had that brought in. So we sat there and then I took a little nap and was kind of like feeling just ugh. And we're going over to our friend's house for dinner. And I was kind of like, can we just bail? I'm just feeling a little...
This is on your actual birthday.
On the actual birthday.
Yes.
I'm kind of like, I'm just so cozy. It was like cold and it snowed. And so we're like, I don't know if I want to go. And they're like, no. Jerry's like, no, you need to go. Let's go. Let's just do it. I'm like, okay, you're right. It'll be fine. So we got the dog in the car and we went over and we went up to the store, their house. And they've got this crazy doorbell that plays MP3s.
Okay. So they were playing music when you walked up?
Well, no. Like
when you hit it.
There's a delay on it.
Oh.
So it's an MP3 of a doorbell because they haven't found the right doorbell chime. I'm like, whatever. Okay, whatever. So usually, and then I ring the doorbell and I know there's a delay. So I usually peep in on the inside just to see if, so I can wave and be like, we're here. Because sometimes it doesn't ring. And I looked in there and I saw my friends, Amy and Kiki. And then I saw something and I'm like, wait, who's that?
No, you peeked.
I peeked, but just because I went out, because I was like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Because a friend of mine who is like, they're acquaintances, Amy and Kiki and my friend Judith, they are acquaintances, but they're not really, really close. I'm like, she's going to get there before me and I want to be a buffer because she was also invited to dinner. And I was just peeping in to see if she was there yet. And I saw somebody else. It turns out my best friends, Cecilia and Natalie, drove up from Memphis to surprise me. They opened up and my friend Amy opens up the door and I'm like, hi, I see you. Hold on one second. I run into the kitchen. I see my friends from Memphis there. I burst into tears. Start hugging them. And I'm like, this is just, I had no idea. This was such a huge surprise because everybody had been playing up the fact that, I just hate that I can't be there for your birthday, and I don't want to be there. And I'm like,
The actor got acted out, but out-acted.
Totally, yeah. And then, and my friend Natalie was like, hey, we've got some, one of my favorite things from Memphis is Poncho's cheese dip. I'm just giving endorsements all over.
Yeah,
this is Scott Duff's favorite things. I'm like, you get an umami burger, and you get Poncho's cheese dip. So she's like, I got some Ponchos for you. I'm going to go, because Jerry, for my birthday, my favorite food on the planet is chips. Like if it's a potato chip, a Dorito chip, any sort of chip, I love a chip. So there's this big buffet of potato chips.
Oh my God,
birthday.
buffet of potato chip.
Yes, well, because I like to do like potato chips and caviar.
Oh yeah, you said the salty and the
occasions.
works
The
nice
salty
together.
And the salty, yeah. So she went out, she's like, I'm going to go get the thing. And she popped in, she's like, hey, I've got your ponchos. And as she said that, my sister and brother-in-law walked around the corner. And I just lost it. I just
so
crumpled to the
nice.
ground. Because, my sister is my person.
Yeah.
Like, I love Jerry. But I love, my sister is like, we've been through a lot together. So it was just so wonderful. And then there was they went around and they did all these toasts, which was just mind blowing. I really think that we need to normalize saying good things to people
While they're alive.
while they're alive. I know, because it felt like it was like a eulogy. Like, y'all, I ain't dead, you know? So it was great. And then Jerry proposed and he, had this beautiful. I was hoping that I'd be in studio so everybody could see it, but
I can see it. Well, no, I can see it.
You can
can't.
see
That's
it.
right.
I know. But so they he hired an artist. He commissioned an artist from Memphis to make this band. It's pounded silver, and on the inside, it's inscribed "Let's Lasso the Moon," because my favorite movie is "It's a Wonderful Life," and of course, you know, George Bailey has that whole speech about, like, you want me to lasso the moon for you? I'll lasso the moon. And you can swallow it and it'll dissolve and it'll shoot out your hair and your fingers. And yeah. So so I was a big miss.
They did it. Jerry did a great job. Really and your friend Kiki and Amy did a great job for you. That is
And then later that night, I check my phone, and there is a beautiful birthday song from Ellen Miller and Kathy Foldmer. You two gave me the best, and that was the second birthday greeting.
Oh, nice.
Birthday song that I got. We have some friends who, they have a group that is aimed for young people called Mom and Pop. And it's so funny because they used to be punk rockers, and now they do music exclusively for kids.
You know, they've evolved in their own special way.
They really have, and so they sent a happy little birthday video to me, which was just wonderful. So it was like, and then they gave me like this big old box filled. There were about 60 birthday cards that were in this box, and of course I got one from you and Kathy, which was so wonderful. But now I'm getting all teary again because I cry at the drop of a hat. But it was a beautiful day, and it was one of those moments where I'm like, I was surrounded by family with my sister and brother-in-law, and then I was surrounded by
chosen family
and my logical family. You know, the people that mean a lot to me as much as we could during these COVID times. So it was a beautiful special day.
I was so happy that all those. I mean, I knew you were going to have a good birthday, but I didn't know about the surprises and of course, the engagement. And until it happened, I know.
Yeah.
It's like,
and here
wow.
I was just. Oh, and the best part is I got to aggressively lip sync at people because that is one of my favorite things to do. I love lip syncing, and I do it all the time. So it was.
So you got to do that too.
I got to do that too, and so it was one of those moments where it was just like, this is a great thing. It was a beautiful day.
It was a landmark birthday. You were kind of dreading it. I remember right after you turned 49, you were. I know I was too a little bit, and you know what? I had a wonderful. Kathy did some wonderful things for my 50th, and I'll never forget them. And people flew in and surprised me, and a couple of those people aren't even with us anymore, sadly.
Right.
And these landmark birthdays need to be marked. They need to be celebrated, and especially someone as loved as you are. And I'm so happy that you were. I could tell you were and then the engagement. I mean, oh my God, he had a great birthday and he got engaged. So
I know it was just bananas. It was just bananas. So talk about like a great way to end a year and to kick off a new one. So speaking of New Year's, did you now? We're both not big on New Year's resolutions.
No, I'm not.
Like
my only resolution is to lose the 5 pounds I've managed to gain over the last several weeks. But
I have no idea how much weight I gained because
I don't make them very often. I used to make like proclamations. I proclaim I'm going to do this, but I was kind of I was just trying to survive New Year's Eve and be out of my funk because it was just weird that we hit. I mean, all plans were canceled. I think that the go word for 2022 is uncertainty because all of our plans have canceled. If it's not us, it's been our friends. I got the sniffles. I'm worried. Everybody's on edge because this Omicron is just wildfire, and it's just it's hard to plan anything. It's a little bit depressing because I'm a people person and I love the holidays because I like to be around my friends and loved ones. Right. And I'm lucky I got Christmas in. And last night we did a fake New Year's with our friends.
I saw that.
Yeah, we cooked the entire meal that we were to cook the week before, and including we had party favorites.
Did you make your shrimp?
We made the shrimp sambuca flambe, and I made a citrus pavlova with sugared cranberries and orange curd and pistachios. You got to look on my Facebook page for the
I
picture.
will look. I saw the shrimp, and I was like,
Wait,
I was sold.
look at the picture of the other thing I made.
I will check. I love a pavlova.
If I ever want to put 3 hours together to do it again, I will make sure I give you some of it. Anyway, I think we're getting near break time. We do have a couple of callers. Michael O'Connor, we'll get to you, so hang in there. And
yep.
We will,
we'll do that. But before we'll take a quick break. But before we do that, we got to give a shout out to people who keep the lights on.
Yes, sir.
This part of Out Chicago is brought to you by Team Hochberg. If you are looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, then you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Tom, he's a trucker, service-connected, disabled Army veteran. He's got an income of $62,000 a year and married to Cindy, homemaker, 2 kids at ages 4 and 6. Tom and Cindy were tired of renting from a disconnected and uninterested property owner and wanted to purchase a home with a VA loan Tom earned while serving in the Army. Team Hochberg answered all of Tom and Cindy's questions and helped them secure a VA loan on their new home with no money down, no VA funding fee due to Tom's service-connected disability, and no private mortgage insurance. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of WCPT listeners like Tom and Cindy secure financing on new homes, and they would like to help you, but they can't help if you don't call 855-56-DAVID or visit 56david.com. That number again is 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Homeside Financial, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1124061. We've got to take a quick break, as Ellen said, and we will get to your calls. So stick around. There's more of Quarantine Out Chicago right after this.
Yes, indeed.
The family meeting.
I don't want to wear pants. The pants are restrictive. You shouldn't force me to have to wear pants. Right? I'm a confirmed nudist.
Yes.
I want to be butt naked. Can't force me to wear clothes. I can't get my share of vitamin D because I have these clothes covering up my skin.
That shirt.
Right.
That shirt is preventing him from health.
Right. It's restricting my freedoms. Now, how damn stupid is that?
Sundays at 4. The family meeting is brought to you by Property Tax Solutions. If they can't lower your property taxes, you don't pay. This is a WCPT Civil Rights Snapshot. Earl Lloyd was the star of West Virginia State's basketball team, leading them to 2 championship games in 1948 and 1949. Due to Lloyd's success, he was drafted by the Washington Capitals in the 9th round, and October 31st, 1950, Lloyd became the first black player to play in the NBA. Joining an all-white team was intimidating, but my teammates were immediately welcoming, said Lloyd on the experience. However, some fans, even some commentators, were not so kind. One even using a racial slur during Lloyd's first game. Lloyd spent 9 seasons playing in the NBA, ending his career with the Detroit Pistons in 1970. After playing, Lloyd stayed in Detroit, becoming a scout and then later an assistant coach of the Detroit Pistons before breaking the color barrier again, becoming the first black head coach in the NBA. Lloyd was inducted into the NBA Hall of Fame in 2003. Please stay vigilant about our civil rights. The fight is never over.
This is a WCPT moment in labor. When Serena Williams won her title at the Tennis Grand Slam tournament, we know she gets the same prize money as her male counterpart. However, prior to 1973, that wasn't always the case. When Billie Jean King captured her first Wimbledon title in 1966, she was surprised to find out that the winner of the men's tournament received £2,000, while she only received £750. After being unable to find any tournaments for women, King and 8 other women formed their own tournament, the Virginia Slims Invitational, where each woman was paid $1 before posing for the famous picture of them each holding up their dollar, with the caption, "Contract Pros." While the move was bold, the pay discrepancies continued. King threatened to boycott the 1973 U.S. Open unless the women were paid the same as the men. Thanks to a grant from Band Deodorant, both the men and women singles would take home $25,000. Despite the progress at the U.S. Open, it wouldn't be until 1984 that the Australian Open would execute equal pay, followed by the French Open in 2006, and finally Wimbledon in 2007. This has been a WCPT moment in labor. We're fighting for your rights.
Welcome back. I'm Fazia Mirza. You're listening to Out Chicago on WCPT.
Oh, and welcome back to Out Chicago. Scott Duff here along with Ellen Miller as we roll along into a brand new year. Yep, if you are looking on Facebook, Ellen's in the studio looking gorgeous. As some of our listeners have already commented about how fantastic you look.
Wow, I guess the COVID did me well.
No,
did me good.
Got those cheek. It's the bangs. It's the bangs. I'm telling you.
It's the way I blew dry
bangs.
today. Okay, good.
I love it. It's fabulous.
Thank you very
Ellen's
much.
in studio. I'm at home quarantining because at 3:30 this morning, my PCR test finally came back after 4 days. So I tested positive. So we are convalescing here at what I like to call Knob Gobbler Manor, and we are just hanging out here and doing this lovely show, our first show of 2022. So,
yes, getting off to a rousing start. COVID, obviously on our minds. I, had it in the break. Scott got it, has it now. At first, I don't know about you, Scott, but we have spent almost 2 full years trying to avoid this. And my first feeling was like, I have failed. What did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Because our whole life has been about not getting COVID. The reason we can't do this, that, and the other thing was because we didn't want to get COVID. And when I got it, I felt like I'd done something wrong, at first. What did I do? Then everybody, where did you get it? And, who the heck knows where we got it? Nobody that I came in contact with personally said that they had it. But the testing is so difficult. When I tested negative the first 2 times, and I knew I still felt like something wasn't quite right with my head as far as the fatigue and this feeling that I had, I couldn't. I woke up in the middle of the night, 3 a.m. On like a couple days after Christmas, scouring, looking for a PCR test. There wasn't any appointments to be had anywhere, and by the time I was running around because I had negative tests, I couldn't get a PCR. The night I tested, that morning I was doing real estate. I was working out at my club. How many people are running around? This is part of the problem why it's so it's contagious to begin with, and the testing can't keep up with it. And people are running around unknowingly getting it and giving it. And it's just, it's a tough situation. The other thing I felt was a big relief because I'm like, okay, I got it. And it's a cold for me. It's a bad cold for me. It must be Omicron. I did have a backache, which I understand is part of the Omicron. Some people are getting a backache with it, and the doctor confirmed that for me.
See, this is what I'm confused about, because I just feel all groggy and achy, and I thought that was just 50.
Yeah, well, wait till you get to
the day you turn 50, everything
happened.
Well,
you're
right.
I can vouch for that happening too, but I'm supposed to go on a blues cruise again. I went on one kind of a bonus one I jumped on in November, and the one that was postponed from 2021, everybody's deposits went to 2022. It's supposed to go at the end of January. And I was like, at first I go, okay, I don't have to worry about being quarantined in my room for a week. But then I started realizing the artists are going to be, testing positive at the port, like one did in November. Who knows how many will. We have to wear masks on the ship. We didn't have to do it in November. The ports may not let us in. The crew could get it. I'm like, there's so many variables right now. And they are letting people move their cruise money to 2023. And I was grappling. At first I thought, okay, I'm bulletproof because I just, I have COVID. But now I'm going to cancel. I think over 50% of people are canceling.
Yeah.
And the CDC came out last week when I was debating about it, warning everybody, don't go on a cruise ship.
Yeah, well, even in normal times, like a cruise ship just seems like a floating petri dish.
It can be. It can be. We've always, the norovirus was big years ago, and I mean, luckily, I've never been sick. I have a couple friends that had to be quarantined just because they had like a bad flu or something during it. So anyway, uncertainty. It's hard to make plans, and that to me is tough. And it's just a matter of time, I think people feel like, before they get COVID.
Yeah, it seems to me that there is, like, with this variant, with the Omicron variant that is running through everybody right now, it seems like if you're going to get it, this might be the one to get.
I have friends that say, I don't care, come over, because we want to get it and get it over with. I'm like,
I know, it feels like it's the new chicken pox. How people used to throw chicken pox parties for kids.
I heard about it. I didn't realize it till I heard it lately. We got it. We all got it, but
yeah. But so it seems like people just kind of, like you're saying, just kind of want to get it over with. It's like, all right. And like I said, fortunately, right now I feel pretty good.
Yeah, and you look great. I mean,
thanks. Oh, I need to shave.
No, the shaving.
I need to put on a better blouse.
Only I am seeing you, my friend. You look fine. So
I feel pretty good, and like I'm a little tired and a little foggy, but again, I thought, like, is that 50 or is that, the edibles that I had last night? So it's one of those things. But we're doing okay. What I've been doing is I've been drinking a ton of water and using the little saline nasal thing to kind of move things around. Jerry's feeling a little bit worse for wear. He's, definitely, I think a little bit more hard hit. But I will be a good nursemaid. Yeah. Now all I need is for somebody to bring me toilet paper, because that's what I was out and about yesterday, and I'm like, I should go to the grocery store. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to go home. So anyway, but again, Omicron has really hit everybody. It actually has hit Chicago the hardest. When the first case was reported, Chicago's 7-day COVID-19 case rate was lower than it was for Cook County. And now it's like 5.5 times higher, where there are a lot of people being positive. So I think people need to ride out this wave that's out, because it does seem like the Omicron wave is what it did in South Africa, was it kind of hit and burned out. Yeah. And I think that's probably what we're going for right now. So if you are able to kind of stay at home, And just because you test negative the first couple times, if you listen to your body, if you are feeling any of these specific symptoms, it could be a cold. Like I finally said, I guess it's a cold, but then I tested one more time. Listen to your body. Know that something isn't right. And it's hard, though, because normally what I had last week, I would have been out and about, just kind of toughen up about it. Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's one of those things. And again, I'm like you. I tested negative a bunch of times. Right? Negative for I did 3 home tests this week just to be safe, because also we gathered with friends for a birthday celebration on Friday. So we had this morning we spent all right, here we go. Here are all the text messages of who was here and who did this, and letting everybody know. So we, and the thing that's so weird, again, I tested negative. Both Jerry and I tested negative on all of our home tests. We got our PCR test results this morning at 3:30. Mine was positive, his was negative, yet he's the one that's showing the stronger symptoms. So, again, Ellen, fabulous advice. Listen to your body. If you feel like something's wrong, go get tested, and you got to be diligent, because right now everybody is getting tested. So I think that's what the delay is with all of the results coming in. And by the time you get the test results, you've been out for 3 days. So what are you supposed to do? People are not just saying, okay, I'm going to assume I have COVID. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to wear a mask, in the house among my loved ones. I'm going to isolate. No one's going to want to do that until they actually see it in front of their eyes. The other thing I want to just point out, I had to go to an urgent care to get the PCR test on last Wednesday, and I met with a doctor who said it's unbelievable to her the amount of people that are coming in looking horrible, so sick, still saying they don't want to get vaccinated. What? Yes, and you saw my rant on Facebook last week, because after talking to her and realizing I'd come up with COVID, the reason we are in this situation, in my opinion, is people not getting vaccinated, refusing to get vaccinated, still, no matter how sick they are. Even she said the ones that they're not saying, okay, I should get. No, they're still resisting vaccination, and to me, it's ridiculous, and it's part of why we're in the situation we're in. I don't understand why people are still refusing vaccinations. They have all their different reasons. They have, it's my body, it's my choice. I'm hearing all that kind of crap. But they're, all elective surgeries are canceled or on hold. There are people that have done the right thing, that have gotten vaccinated, that may have a heart issue or broken a leg or something else. They can't get the care they need now because of the selfishness of the people that are clogging up the hospitals. Because the ones that are in the hospital for COVID, 99 out of 100 have not been vaccinated. And those are the facts. Yeah, and those are the people who at the beginning of the pandemic were complaining that they didn't know, like, because of homeschooling, they weren't able to understand their kids' math. But now all of a sudden they are experts in the medical field.
Yeah,
it's like
for sure.
You don't understand algebra, and yet you get the intricate details of what it means for a vaccination. It's kind of ridiculous. All I'm saying is, yes, clearly the Omicron is very, very contagious. It seems to be so far, knock on wood,
a little milder. And I'm very happy that I'm both vaccinated and boosted. Yes.
So, so I have the antibodies in here to help me heal and get over this quicker. And I strongly encourage everybody to do the same. End of rant.
I'm sure our listeners are...
of course our listeners do that because they're smart
Because
people.
facts matter to them. And the fact is, you must be vaccinated. It's only going to help you and the people you love around you. Should we go to the phone line, Scott?
Yeah, please do.
Why don't we take a call to celebrate our beginning of our 9th year of Out Chicago.
Smokes.
Is
crazy.
Today of our dear friend Michael O'Connor. Michael O'Connor, Happy New Year and welcome to Out Chicago.
Yes, Happy New Year to both of you, and Happy New and congratulations. The 9th year. I mean, really, this has been such an informative programming. Not just WCPT has made a wise choice for 9 years to make sure, and hopefully going more to make sure that the LGBTQ community is informed and visible in the process of radio programming. So I just want to say Happy New Year to both of you, to all those people that's been listening. I also want to give a shout out to Jerry. It's about time with Scott, and I want to see the ring.
Next week. Next week
I should be able to come in.
Okay, and happy belated birthday. And lastly, on a serious note, I don't know if you two are aware, but over here in Brownsville, well, not in Brownsville, but in South Shore, Jeffrey Pub had an African-American lesbian who some type of altercation took place at Jeffrey Pub. They took her to the 3rd District, which is over on 71st and Cottage Grove. This was December 17th, and we're just now really finding out about it. Her name is Irene Chavez. I want to give condolences to her family because she was found in the cell hung.
What?
And we can't get any... The family had to go on television in order to try to get any type of real answers from the Chicago Police Department. I mean, it's a sad way to start out the year, but, it is what it is. So I just hope that we are a lot more visible in terms of what's happening on the South and West Side, specifically as it concerns violence against African-American and Latino LGBTQ people, not just in the streets, but also state-authorized violence. The police misconduct is nothing new with our community.
That's true.
With that being said, you said something. I thought I heard you say that Tanya was coming on.
Yeah, she's coming on next.
Race. Yeah, well, good, because I know she can talk about it well. Okay, and I just hope that Irene Chavez's family gets justice because I keep saying, I've always said to you two and everybody else, our freedom is not free.
Right.
That's a constant accountability and effort that must be maintained in order for us to be free. And so I have been lucky because I have not had to deal with COVID so far. But I've been wearing all kind of masks, and well, you two know me. I'm an old queen, and I'm not trying to. Every day above the ground's a good one.
That's right.
Every day.
Ma'am.
Amen to what you said, Michael O'Connor, and Happy New Year to you. And you've been a big part of our show, and we thank you very much for being there for us.
And also, Michael, thank you so much for keeping us up to date with certain stories.
Yes.
One of the things that we really have been trying to do over the last 8 years is to highlight the news from all of our community. And I know sometimes some stories slip through, but thank you so much for making us aware, because we are really trying to make sure that we are letting everybody know, just covering the entire community. And it is so difficult. I've said it a gazillion times. The LGBTQ umbrella is a large one, and we've got one of everybody there. So thank you for bringing up that story. And we will definitely look into that and try to see what we can do to help out with the family.
Well, a lot of people will appreciate it. And I thank you, too, for just being who you are out of Chicago. I love it.
Thank you so much. We love you too, Michael.
Wow. We love you too, Michael.
Happy New Year.
Thank you so much.
I don't know if we have do we have time for another caller?
I think if we do it really, really quickly.
Okay, let's go to Deborah on line 3. She wants to follow up on Michael O'Connor. Hey, Deborah, welcome to Out Chicago.
A blessed New Year, Happy New Year. And first-time caller, I've listened to on occasion, and thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
And Michael, follow up with what he said, and that's how I heard the story from him over a radio station up the dial. In fact, the sister came on to the show, and she expressed what was happening with the family. I have called to Senator Duckworth's office and some of the other, the POTUS, his line isn't available just yet, but some of the others regarding this, because I'm a Navy tailhook survivor, and I am going through some horrific, because when I was in the service, obviously thought I was queer. So I'll consider myself queer, even though I'm 63 years old and in no relationship whatsoever. I speak out against sex trafficking, elderly abuse, and there's something that it doesn't get enough attention. There was a march up King Drive a couple of years ago. I called to Sheriff Tom Dart's office asking that they send someone to represent these missing women. And I think, and I pray because of that and the attention being brought, that they have made it so that they're looking back at these unsolved cases. Hallelujah. So that's what I'm about. And I pray to maybe speak with you guys, and especially Michael O'Connor, because that's how I first heard of the story. Even Vanessa Guillen, please look into that story, Fort Hood, Texas. Texas, Vanessa Guillen, but there were 18 that covered up her murder. Department of Defense Lloyd Austin went in, and thank God for him, that man. Thank God for him. He went in and unveiled that. But see, that's something that needs to be dealt with.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
And I pray you, and I think you hear my passion, but I have the discernment going way back decades, half a century of knowing and seeing this type of stuff, and it's time. Thank you for accepting my call.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for your passion, for your advocacy, and again, we
need to shine a light on it.
We do our best on our little show to try to shine a light on all of the injustices that are happening across the city and across the country. And it's because of folks like you, Michael and Deborah, that we strive to be better. So Thank you, and we will definitely look into that. And speaking of making the world a better place, our next guest, Tanya Richard, is incredible. We are so fortunate to have her as a part of our family. So we need to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be speaking with Tanya Richard, who is the host and producer of the podcast Tanya's Take: Race, Culture, and the Culture of Race, to be weighing in on some topics. So stick around. You are listening to Out Chicago right here on WCPT.
Since you're listening to WCPT 820 right now, we know that you're someone with a social conscience who cares about our environment, our government, and our society. We're looking for the right person to tell our story to local businesses in the Chicago area. This is a part-time, salary plus commission sales position. WCPT 820 is proud to be an EEOC employer. Email your resume to jobs@WCPT820.com. That's JOBS@WCPT820.com.
We're planning a trip to Spain later this year.
But our Spanish
is pretty bad.
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind. Babbel's conversation-based method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
No matter your learning style or experience level, Babbel has lessons designed for you that will get you speaking quickly and confidently.
I tried learning Spanish before, but I couldn't stick with it until I found Babbel.
There's no easier way to learn another language.
Ahora hablamos español.
He just said, now we speak Spanish.
I can't wait to use our new language skills on our upcoming adventures.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Check up on health with Chris Whitting.
A recent survey found that 95% of physicians are concerned about the growing problem of antibiotic-resistant infections. Dr. Brad Spellberg, Associate Professor of Medicine at UCLA, has 4 tips to protect yourself.
Number 1, wash your hands. It sounds simple, but it's actually the best way you have of protecting yourself from getting these bacteria on your body. Number 2, if you have a cold or the flu, don't ask for an antibiotic prescription. They don't work against viruses. Number 3, live a healthy lifestyle. Again, sounds very simple, but if you eat right, you exercise, you do basic safety stuff like wearing seatbelts, you will decrease the risk of going into the hospital where the highest density of these resistant organisms are. Number 4, when you're in the hospital, that's where you pick up these bugs. So work with your medical team to try to get out of the hospital as soon as this responsibly can be done.
With Checkup on Health, I'm Chris Whitting.
Hey everybody, this is Tanya Richard from Tanya's Take, Race, Culture, and the Culture of Race, and you are listening to Out Chicago,
And
WCPT.
welcome back to Out Chicago. Scott Duff here, along with Ellen Miller, as we roll along. Just a quick update. We were speaking in the last segment with Michael O'Connor, who is a community activist and grassroots organizer. He was letting us know about a story that has received very little attention here in Chicago about the death of Irene Chavez. I am posting a link to an article to the Washington Post onto our page. So we can find out a little bit more information. But again, I want to thank our incredible listeners who are not only just passionate human beings, but dedicated activists to help get truth out there. So I will be posting that as soon as Facebook stops being a butthead, and I'll post that thing. So yes, just to give you an update on that. And we are very, very fortunate to have as our first guest of the new year our good friend Tanya Richard, who is the host and producer of the incredible podcast Tanya's Take, Race, Culture, and the Culture of Race. Hey Tanya, thanks for joining us today.
Hi, thank you. I feel very fancy that I'm your first guest of the new year.
I know. Well, we
sure.
only do things right here. So, and thank you so much. Thank you so much to have you in studio last month when we could see each other. It was so wonderful to see you.
Thank you.
That was so fun.
I enjoyed listening to you. I was on the road in Tennessee, coming back from Kathy's family Christmas, and you guys were great together. You did a great job as always. So thank you for filling in.
It was so fun. Thank you for having me. I was thrilled.
Well, and thank you again for taking time out of your schedule, because I know you are a busy human being, and for joining us and to help us, to continue these conversations that I know both Elle and I are yearning to have about race, culture, and the culture of race. And this week was a huge, huge loss to the world. Sidney Poitier passed away on Thursday at the age of 94. And I know I saw your posts on social media that this was very much a watershed moment for you. Do you have any thoughts on on when you heard the news and just reflecting on his remarkable life?
Yes, and I want to kind of thank you for quickly address what was spoken about before the break about this young woman, Irene Chavez. Don't know for sure the pronunciation of her name, but I just want to speak to it in terms of the importance of local news and remind everybody that stories like Laquan McDonald would never have come to light had it not been for local news and local activists, and that this is a real opportunity for all of us, having learned of her name today, to shine a light get more information. This is a military veteran, an LGBTQ community member, and we have to question and challenge and get whatever answers we can. And that's our opportunity when we ask ourselves, how can we be anti-racist? Something like this, follow its lead and see how you can amplify and shed more light on it.
Absolutely. And I think I'm going to take a little sidebar here, and I'm sorry if I'm, but here's the thing that I am frustrating, that I'm really frustrated by. It's the fact that so many of these stories, are not being seen, or the only way that they are being seen is if they're caught on video. And that is the front, we just had, there was the sentencing of, the murderers of Ahmaud Arbery this week. That is a case that would never have been seen had there not been, the stupid hubris of white supremacists and racists, going and killing a man to do that. I am just shocked and appalled that the only way that justice is being served is if there happens to be a phone or a camera handy.
Mm-hmm. True.
Well, that's true, and I think the only sort of thought that comes to mind is take what we can and make sure not to start to become numb or inured to these images and to continue to let them spur us. I have a real satisfaction with the verdict related to the Ahmaud Arbery case, and in some ways, however we got there, at least we know that a man can't be hunted down by 3 individuals, and those individuals get away with it. It's, yes, there's so much happening that we don't have an opportunity to witness. But what we do witness, we have to do something about.
And having that verdict come down in Georgia, to me, was, you can't trust the law, the justice system, as we know, to do the right thing in so many places, but they did, and it's still sad as hell that this man lost his life with no need. But at least there's some, that these 3 guys got a life sentence. Did feel like justice was served, and you just never know. It's sad, but even when you know that it seems like a slam dunk, it doesn't always happen. But maybe that's a message.
Doesn't.
Maybe that's a message to the people that are like him, like them. This will not be tolerated. This.
We can really hope. I mean, unfortunately, it has to be so within the law, and making sure that it's like whatever is brought forward is what they can be persecuted for, right? So we sometimes come across a situation where just based on, it's the case that we all just encountered that I'm blanking on, but because of exactly how it was brought forward, Kyle Rittenhouse, and what they chose to charge him with, he was able to not be convicted. So, when the alignment happens where it's the what they are convicted for, they are then able to really justly be convicted. It's very satisfying, and it's when I hear something like that, it really shakes me, and I really hope that Ms. Chavez's family continues to get attention and to get answers.
Absolutely.
But Sidney Poitier.
But on that note, what a legacy.
A life well lived.
What a legacy, and such a, in my personal experience with Sidney Poitier, he was introduced to me by my father, who happened to look a lot like Sidney Poitier.
Lucky you.
And yeah, right. Well, and he introduced Lilies of the Field, one of my favorite Sidney Poitier movies. And from then on, he became sort of my movie star. I think he was my first movie star. In a strange way, he was sort of the father sometimes I projected onto him, that sometimes whatever dynamic I had with my own father, wherever I might have felt a disappointment or not, I could sort of project these ideals onto Sidney Poitier. So and the similarities between them in terms of how they carried themselves. So he had sort of a really personal impact on me as I grew. I kept my eye out for him whenever I could see him, and every performance just topped the next. And in terms of his impact on the Black community, Black performers, he deeply, deeply moved me, and I know he deeply moved so many others. And I'm just so grateful to my father for showing us those movies when we were young, and seeing, I think, probably a little bit of himself in him as well.
And the fact that his choices, he made interesting and powerful choices in the roles that he chose to take on.
And brave, he's a person that ultimately is trying to have a career, and he was putting himself in the center of conversations that at the time, people weren't all that interested in having. Interracial relationships, the power of something like Heat of the Night, when he is slapped by a white man and he impulsively slaps him back, which was Sidney Poitier's idea that was not in the script. When the police officer refers to him by his name and says, "What do they call you? Where you're from?" And he says, "They call me Mr. Tibbs." That is so impactful to a community who doesn't see themselves in a light of power and dignity and being able to answer to the racism of that time with defiance and awareness of who they are. His career was a paradigm shift that has allowed anything that we have seen since then to happen. And that's the work of a king, and the impact will never be forgotten.
Absolutely.
It sure will not. And of course, our time together always flies by so quickly.
Too quickly.
Whenever you are on. But thank you again for coming on the show today, for being our first guest of 22, and for reminding us that we need to be vigilant, and we can carry on the legacy of Sidney Poitier, not just as a performer, but as an activist, as a civil rights activist, as a human. We can carry on that work, and that is what we need to do. I think it's a great call to arms for the beginning of a new year. So Tanya Burchard, the podcast is Tanya's Take, Race, Culture, and the Culture of Race. Please like and subscribe and listen to it. Always fabulous. Tanya Burchard, thank you so much, and Happy New Year.
Thanks, Tanya.
Happy New Year. Congratulations. Feel better. Love y'all.
Thank you.
Take
Okay,
care.
bye. We got to take a quick break, and when we come back, it is the second hour of Out Chicago right here on WCPT.
On our first date, we had masks on and kept 6 feet apart. Now, we're a lot closer.
Just like Cliff and Deb, thousands of singles over 50 found their perfect match on Silver Singles last year.
I feel like I'm 20 years old again, and I'm pretty sure she feels the same way.
Rediscover the magic of dating with Silver Singles, the exclusive community for singles over 50. Sign up today and receive daily matches you won't want to miss at silversingles.com/radio. silversingles.com/radio.
Today on Hey Culligan Smart Home, Smarter Water Softener, here's Kevin.
Hey Culligan, can a smart water softener lift those heavy salt bags for me?
Kevin, it can.
Wait, it can?
Yup, the smart high-efficiency water softener from Culligan can alert your dealer when the salt needs to be replaced, and they'll do it for you, so your water stays soft and you stay away from lifting the bags.
I mean, I could lift them if I wanted.
No judgment here, Kevin. We're happy to do it, and we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test with the local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
NBC News Radio, I'm Dina Kodiak. America's top diplomat doesn't expect any major breakthroughs in talks with Russia this week. Appearing on ABC's This Week, Secretary of State Antony Blinken said the situation with Russia is unlikely to change in the immediate future as they hold what he called a gun to the head of Ukraine. Russian troops are massed along Ukraine's border amid growing fears of an invasion. Blinken said the two paths presented to Russia will be put to the test during talks in Geneva. Blinken hopes Putin will choose diplomacy. Otherwise, he said, the country faces massive economic economic and financial sanctions. At least 7 are dead after a cliff collapsed on several tourist boats in Brazil. Scott Carr has more.
Officials say heavy rains likely loosened the large rocks that fell Saturday at Furnas Lake in southern Brazil. A video showing the deadly collapse has gone viral. Search operations for 3 people still missing in the lake have resumed.
Local officials say dive teams will check for possible victims among the boulders at the bottom of the lake. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot is hopeful schools will be open tomorrow.
Well, I'm doing everything I can to make sure that happens.
Appearing on NBC's Meet the Press, Lightfoot expressed confidence that her administration would be able to reach a deal with the teachers' union thanks to the unprecedented support of parents. The mayor said she won't let the union politicize the situation at the expense of single parents who need to work to support their children. Along with being confident about reaching a compromise with teachers, Lightfoot also announced that Illinois' governor agreed to sell Chicago an additional 350,000 COVID-19 tests to be used in schools. The James Webb Space Telescope is now fully deployed. The space observatory, the size of a tennis court, was launched on Christmas Day out of French Guiana. The telescope is now off to its final destination in orbit around the sun, 1 million miles away from Earth. NASA has called it one of the riskiest and most difficult space launches. The winners of the Golden Globes will be announced today. This year's award presentation will be a private event with no spectators. Instead, the winners will be announced on social media and on the association's website. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
From energy to public health, extreme weather, the economy, and more, Climate Connections makes the global local. Hear it weekdays during the Tom Hartman program and during Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive, right here on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, where facts matter.
Amy Goodman reports on the news stories rarely covered by the corporate media.
In Chile, security forces shot dead 2 indigenous Mapuche leaders during clashes in the province of Arauco. The southern coastal region has been under a state of emergency, with the Chilean government deploying 2,000 soldiers to the region as it attempts to suppress the Mapuche community and their fight to recover their ancestral lands.
Democracy Now!, weekday evenings at 11 on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. When Pearl Harbor was attacked, men of all races across the country volunteered to join the fight, despite the United States Army being heavily segregated. Black enlistees were mostly assigned to combat support roles. But this did not stop Lieutenant Colonel Paul L. Bates, who knew of the racism and pushed his soldiers to achieve excellence. The 761st Tank Battalion was formed in the spring of 1942. It contained 30 black officers, 6 white officers, and 676 enlisted men. The unit donned the nickname the Black Panthers, wearing patches on their uniforms with a panther on it and the slogan, "Come Out Fighting." And in 1944, the 761st was assigned to General George Patton's Third Army in France. General Patton gave a colorful speech to his crew, and the Black Panthers became the first African-American tank squad in World War II. And by the end of the war, the Black Panthers had fought further east than every other United States unit, receiving 391 decorations for their heroism.
I'd like to welcome you to WCPT AM's Out Chicago. Think of us as Sunday brunch with your gay best friends. Now please welcome your host, Scott Duff.
And welcome back to the second hour of Out Chicago. Scott Duff here in quarantine land. Yes, he got the Rona.
Got the Rona.
I got the Rona. My Corona. And Ellen is looking beautiful in the studio.
Post-Corona. Post-Rona.
In post-Rona, there we are. But we've got a beautiful and healthy and uplifting, brilliant show hour lined up for you.
Yes, we do.
Later on this hour, we're going to be speaking with Jorge Felix from the Puerto Rican Arts Alliance. They recently received a grant that's specifically for an LGBTQ-focused project involving Chicago's Latinx community, LGBTQ community. So excited about that. And also, I am super duper excited to be speaking with our next guest. Yeah, we've been trying to get them for years, and not years,
months. Lots of months.
Mm-hmm. It just feels like years.
Yes, it
does. The pandemic.
Yeah.
But, mostly because, over the last couple of decades, we have seen the departure of many queer spaces, specifically for women. And unfortunately, that is changing thanks in part to the opening of Nobody's Darling in Andersonville. And joining us now are the owners of Nobody's Darling, Angela Barnes and Renata Riddle. Welcome to the show and Happy New Year.
Hello. How you doing?
We're doing great.
We're doing great. How are y'all doing?
Doing good. I think we're adjusting. It's a continual conversation that Angela and I are having because of the new mandates that are in place. So we're getting through it. Our patrons and our staff have been amazing through it all. So we're grateful to be in the position that we are in right now.
Oh, good.
It's been a real roller coaster, I'm sure, for you as business owners, as bar owners, trying to keep up with the almost daily or weekly changes in protocols. How are you weathering that?
I think we're doing a good job. Honestly, we're trying to stay ahead of it. So, as we sort of anticipate, right, what the city is going to mandate, usually we're maybe about a week ahead or a few days. But, given the size of our space, it hasn't been a huge, I would say burden on us to be able to ask people for their, vax cards and IDs. But, certainly sympathetic to a lot of those venues where this is, you almost have to hire another person to do that. But we're weathering the storm.
Right. Are you? I know the Illinois Department of Health has an app now that are able to, people can upload their information, and so when they do go to venues, because as of January 3rd, there is a new mandate here in Chicago that a lot of entertainment venues, restaurants, bars, etc., you have to show proof of vaccination. Have you incorporated any of that technology at Nobody's Darling?
No, not yet. It's kind of interesting that you brought that up because, honestly, I kind of caught that in the paper and I thought this is exactly what technology, should be used for, right?
Mm-hmm.
To, kind of help people be able to seamlessly show that they're vaccinated. Candidly, it was a little confusing for me, so I haven't done it.
Oh, no, I get it.
But I think Renata and I will definitely be meeting with our manager to see, how we can, kind of help people, right, in the community to get that done. And
Yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to say, hey, congratulations. I mean, this is such a wonderful venture and a much needed venture in Chicago and truthfully across the country. Queer bars have been shutting down, and to open up a space, in Andersonville, which is pretty much a gayborhood, to have that open, to have a new space, it's just a phenomenal thing for the community, and congratulations on this venture. What made the two of you decide to be like, hey, you know what we need to do? We need to open up a cocktail bar.
I'm going to let Renata take that one. So, Scott, I don't know if you know this, but Angela and I love a good cocktail all the time. So when you start drinking, you come with all these grandiose ideas.
Absolutely.
But I've been wanting to open up a bar for a long time. And it was funny, I was talking to a patron there. They literally said, what made you open up a bar? And I said, well, I love a good cocktail. And he said, oh, yeah, spoken like a true drinker. That is like the dream come true, to be able to open up your own bar and walk in and get your cocktail right, when you want it. But yeah, so I have been doing events for nonprofits like Center on Halstead, and I had an event company, and I had been doing events, and I saw how much money I was bringing into other venues, and I said, I really want to open up a space, a bar, and Angela and I were, golfing and having cocktails as usual, and I brought it up to her. She said, okay. She asked me a few questions, and I literally told her, I said, I know a little bit about, the back end of bars and the financials and everything. And, at worst case scenario, Angela, we'll have a space where we'll be able to bring our friends, and I could do, one event a month, and we can pay for, pretty much the bills. So, that was my worst case scenario. But, it has taken off, and we're just so ecstatic, just beyond appreciative and grateful for everyone who has shown us so much love. Someone asked me, who's your PR person? Mm-hmm. And I said, no one. We are literally, like, Angela will handle, all the media that comes in, but literally we don't even go and ask, can you do an article on us or anything. It's just the love, that everyone has shown us has been just overwhelming, and we appreciate it so much.
Well, it has to be overwhelming because I don't live too far away from there, and I would go on my power walks during the summer. And in this summer, that place was hopping. It was overflowing onto the street. It just felt like good vibes, flowing out there on Balmoral. It was just like, I'm like, this is wonderful. So congratulations. I always say like attracts like, and you have this incredible energy, the two of you, and then to have this wonderful vibe. And, reading on your website how you wanted to have this sort of like this vibe of like an elegant cocktail lounge mixed with like a neighborhood bar, I think is something that you've achieved. And also your cocktails are incredible, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, I also want to echo my congratulations because, as you know, ladies, opening a lesbian space and keeping it thriving is a challenge in this city and so many others. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, Ellen, we've been asked that question by a number of people, and obviously we don't know really, but I think that historically. It's just women, lesbians, just I think where we were, right, in this sort of economic situation, typically having to take care of families, earning less than men, just really having less disposable income. And you have these spaces where we want to have our own space and we want to support it, but a lot of times we couldn't, and then those spaces would be taken over a lot of times by men. One of the things that Renata and I have been very intentional about is saying that this is a women-centered space, and what that kind of reflects the changing times. Right, we're not just lesbian, right? We're queer women, we're, non-binary, we're trans, we're, and we wanted to make sure that everyone felt welcome, but that everyone really understood that this is a space that if you identify as a woman, wherever it is on that spectrum, that you feel comfortable in this space. And I think that has really resonated because when you have everyone else who comes in to the space, they understand that we are very much about respect and have a good time, have a good cocktail, but really respect the people who are in this space and who support it and who believe in it.
It's wonderful. I love it.
Yeah, and I love the name, Nobody's Darling. It came from a piece by Alice Walker. What inspired you about that Alice Walker piece to be like, you know what, here's the perfect name for our bar?
So yeah, I'm gonna start and then hand it over to Renata because I love doing this. Where again, as you know, when you're trying to name something, it can either immediately the name comes to you, or you have some pretty disastrous fits and starts, which I think Renata and I were coming up with some doozies, and then
Wait, I want to hear what the doozies were. What are
the outtakes? Give me the bloopers.
What were the outtakes?
No.
Oh no! How about this? We'll have to come in for a cocktail or a mocktail, and you can whisper it.
Now
to us.
you're talking.
And we'll promise to never tell it.
Absolutely. Okay. You've got it on that one. But yeah, no, I mean, we finally said, let's take a step back, right? And, what is it that we are trying to achieve? And I don't mean to make it seem like, oh my goodness, we're, solving world peace, but we really just wanted the name to reflect what we believed in. And, I'm just somebody who, I have all of these, African-American women authors and poets and whatever, and I just kind of sat down and pulled my Alice Walker off the shelf, and I started reading some of the poems that I really loved by her. And Be Nobody's Darling, with its tattered edges, and, I'm reading it, I'm thinking, oh, for goodness sakes, this is exactly right what we're trying to accomplish. Really having this space for people who, are unafraid to be themselves. And I said, how about Nobody's Darling? And I texted it to Renata thinking that she might say, what are you even talking about? But I also sent her the poem. And I'm going to hand it to Renata with what she said after that.
I literally was looking at the text, and I said, Nobody's Darling, interesting. Then I read the poem, and I was like, oh, yes. Because even the darling piece of it, because I'm from Alabama, my mom, if you talk to her, she's going to say darling at some point. Mm-hmm. She's going to say precious, all of that, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, it really just resonated with me in that bit. And then literally the poem is spot on who we are. We are not the norm. We come in all shapes and sizes, especially Angela and I. Oh my God! I think we're the two only women that you'll see at the bar all the time. We are, and we do, and then we do all these other things that we do, from sitting on boards to, we're very multifaceted, and that literally spoke to everything, that poem, and it was just, I was like, this is perfect. Let's do it, Angela. I was ecstatic because I was like, finally, because the name, when you are thinking of a name for a bar, you want it to really resonate with people, and you want it to be catchy, and everybody loves it. Everyone loves it.
Well, and beyond just being catchy of a name, it's a proud declaration of, like, this is what this space is, and this is who enter here are Nobody's Darling. It's even, you have it on the wall of the bar, for everyone to read when you come in. Like, look at this. This is who we are. If you can't agree with this, get out of here. And I love it.
So I have to ask, how has it been for you as a couple doing a business together and being, 24/7?
So we're not a couple.
Oh, you're not. Oh, you're not a couple.
They're not together. No.
My
I was like, I thought we were getting some groundbreaking news. Like, hey, everybody.
I thought you guys were a couple.
Look out, Angela, Renata, they're dating.
My apologies. So you're two.
Angela and I have talked about threesomes before, but not together.
Don't tell your spouses. Don't tell your spouses about it. So, how did you come together as friends then to start the club?
So we met at one of my events that I threw at Senator Halstead. I used to lead this women's committee at the Senator Halstead Women's Action Committee, and so Angela, actually, I met her at an event, and then I brought her on to the committee. But that's how we met. We met, we really hit it off really well, and the rest is history.
Because you sound very simpatico together. So that's probably the reason everyone's is such a success. So that's good for you guys. Nobody's Darling.
I love this. All right. So, but one of the things that's so great about the space Nobody's Darling, that it is so very welcoming and so inclusive, and also it just feels cool to be there. Also, your cocktail menu is fantastic. Everyone's like, okay, when you open up a bar, you're going to be slinging drinks. But it's like, no, these are like, you have put together a really well thought out cocktail menu, including the non-alcoholic versions of stuff that people, for those people who don't drink. Or want to take a little break from drinking, they have these things. So what was it like when you found the space, you understood the concept, you finally landed on a name. What was it like as you were putting together the menu? Because it's just, it's fabulous. And I cannot wait to try this, the faux Aperol.
Oh, yeah. It's, it's kind of funny. We, Renata and I sort of sat down at actually, in her condo, and we just made a list of the drinks we like to drink. And we also made the drinks, right? Like this is how you make this, and this is how. And we were so fortunate because when we started, hiring, we hired mixologists, right? Just people who could, sort of make. They took what we gave them, and they were so sweet, right? They were just like, kind of. I almost want to say, and Renata will find this funny because I'm not a Southerner, but it was almost like, oh, bless your heart. They took everything that we gave them, and they just made it better, right? They're like, oh, this is great. Like, this is how you actually make that drink. And so that was really awesome for us because it came together in that way. And then, as it has evolved, obviously we've relied on, their suggestions for what, is now our fall-winter menu. But still having that, Renata and I still sit down. We try every drink. We, as far as I'm concerned, I want to make sure that it's something that I would order or who I'm with will order, because there's some things, obviously you might not drink. Like, I'm not a tequila drinker, but
I was just going to say I'm not a tequila girl myself, so.
Yeah, right. But, but we sign off on everything. So.
And do you have any events coming up that you want to let our listeners know about in the coming weeks and months?
Yes, we have our monthly singles mixer. That's every third Thursday of the month. So this month it would be on on a Thursday, January 20th, from 6 to 8. So, if you're looking for some new love in the new year, come to our singles mixer. Nobody's darling.
Well, are you two going to be together? Because maybe you two might be able to meet up and finally start this relationship.
No, they have partners. I think you both have partners. I know you both have partners, I think. I know.
I just know that Ellen has now gotten me into trouble with my wife, and
Isn't one of you married to a Greek?
My girlfriend walked in the room and was like, it just looked at me. She passed by.
See, a little spice for the new year. Never hurts. Now, aren't one of you with a Greek girl like me?
Yes. I'm married to a Greek woman.
Okay, so you and my wife have something in common.
There we go. Ooh, all right. We have created quite a situation for you, and we are very sorry about that. But we are so excited.
It's all good.
We are so excited, that we have Nobody's Darling that's in Andersonville. Just to make the Andersonville community even better, but also just to make Chicago a better place. And for this, these spaces are so important. As you were saying, you want to make sure that everybody is treated with respect and are able to, and dignity, and are able to be themselves. And that is such a gift to everyone here in the city of Chicago. So thank you for providing such a wonderful space, providing such beautiful cocktails, and an even more gorgeous vibe. To be there and to really celebrate, being in our space, being in that space, and just to being here in Chicago. So, Angela Barnes,
we're grateful.
Thank you so much for that. If you want to find out more information about Nobody's Darling, and you should go. You need to go.
I'm going to go. I got to get there.
The cocktail menu is bananas crazy. The mocktail menu is bananas crazy. And Angela and Renata just can't keep their hands off each other the entire time you're there. It's so much fun.
I'll never live it down. I'm going in with a disguise. Well, you don't know what I look like anyway, so that's fine.
Ellen, we're going to Google you.
Okay. I'm in trouble now.
You're in trouble. Look out! You just pissed off a Greek woman.
Ooh,
remember,
she understands. She knows how we are. We're just all about love and passion,
Well, Well, filled with love and passion, that's Nobody's Darling. Go to nobodiesdarlingbar.com just to check out the menu and check out the hours and the events that are coming up. And if you make a special trip to Andersonville, if you aren't in the neighborhood, to go check it out on Balmoral. It's a beautiful space. It's filled with more beautiful people, and I'm so happy that we were able to get you on the show, and that we were able to ruin your marriage. So there you go.
Well, no, and thank you for the two of you. This has been wonderful, and for what you do for the community. We're just really honored to be on, and we'll forgive you about our relationship.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Well, thank you for what you guys do, and keep up the great work. It's so important to keep these women's spaces alive and thriving, and our listeners will come out in droves, I know, and support you, because we got to keep you there. So thank you.
Thank you. Hope to see you soon at the bar.
All right.
There, Angela Barnes, Renata Riddle from Nobody's Darling. Go there, and Ellen, you need to bring like a flowers or a fruit basket or some sort of like apology gift.
Keeping it spicy.
Just a bunch of spanakopita.
Okay, there you go.
Bring some spanakopita to appease the Greek. All right, there we go. And on that note, we've got to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be speaking with Jorge Felix from the Puerto Rican Arts Alliance about their brand new project that's focusing on the LGBTQ plus Latinx community here in Chicago. So stick around. You're listening to Out Chicago right here on WCPT.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, U.S. Tax Shield can help you take back control. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Our team of tax attorneys can stop collections and get you protected. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the BBB, so call 800-466-9625. U.S. Tax Shield, 800-466-9625.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you 24/7, with supplies and solutions for every industry, and access to product specialists ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is a WCPT Civil Rights Snapshot. In the 1980s, the AIDS crisis killed thousands of Americans in gay communities, and under President Reagan, the epidemic went unaddressed. To raise awareness, the political group ACT UP decided they needed something big to urge the government and the drug companies to take action. This created the form of protest known today as die-ins, where protesters lay on the ground playing dead to show how dangerous things can be if action is not taken. ACT UP's first die-in took place on October 11th, 1988, outside the Food and Drug Administration building. Some protesters held tombstone signs over their bodies with sayings such as, "Dead from lack of drugs," "Victim of FDA red tape," "Killed by the FDA and never had a chance." After the protest, it took the FDA less than a year to approve drugs to help battle the AIDS virus. ACT UP's die-ins continued throughout the country, taking place outside the Center of Disease Control, outside Wall Street, and outside the vacation home of President George Bush. Please stay vigilant about our civil rights. The fight is never over.
Camp Kupagani is the best kept secret for empowering your child in our modern world. As a parent, you need to be intentional to make sure your kiddo gains the skills and experience to fit in. Anxiety and animosity regarding race, gender, and inequality have increased exponentially. However, instead of being hopeless, we can invoke change. Camp Kupagani reminds us that change agents are already here. They are our children. By focusing on youth, we harness the power of social change so that we can move from hate to celebration by cultivating a respectful and appreciative environment. At Camp Kupagani, they've been celebrating diversity every summer for many years, bridging the social-cultural gap for their young campers. Broad-minded children grow up to be unbiased adults who then raise their own open-minded children. There is no easy solution to hate and discrimination, but any hope for change rests in the clear and present eyes of our children. Learn more about Camp Kupagani at multiculturalcamp.com.
Welcome back. I'm writer and activist Stacey Anshin. You are listening to Out Chicago on WCPT 820.
And welcome back to Out Chicago. Scott Duff here, along with Ella Miller, as we roll along, ruining relationships with every segment that we've got here.
Spicing up relationships.
Spicing up relationships.
I care to look at the positive, the glass half full.
Yes, and we're also here to celebrate communities, everything, and celebrate awesome organizations like the Puerto Ricans Arts Alliance, which recently received the Broadening Narratives Grant from the Gaylord and Dorothy Donnelly Foundation for an LGBTQ-focused project. And joining us now to talk to us a little bit more about the organization and this project is Jorge Felix, Studio Arts and Exhibition Program Manager for the Puerto Rican Arts Alliance. Jorge, welcome to the show.
Thank you, and good morning, and thank you for having me.
Well, and Happy New Year to you. Thank you for taking time out for joining us today. But before we jump into the grant, which, by the way, congratulations on that. That's fantastic. Can you tell us a little bit more about the history and the mission of the Puerto Rican Arts Alliance?
The Puerto Rican Arts Alliance is an organization founded back in 1998. It has been dedicated to promoting and preserving Puerto Rican arts and culture. The focus of our organization back on the early days was on music, preserving music, but it has expanded to the visual arts. And back in 2014 is where we decided to create this archive that is the one that we're going to be speaking today.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit more about the archive project, because it began, like you said, I think, did you say 2014 is when you started looking at that? What exactly was the birth of that archive project, and how are you planning to expand upon it?
Yes. El Archivo project, that is the name that we put to this program, it grew out of the need of documenting and starting to preserving the oral stories and documents and the life of those Puerto Ricans that came here back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and founded the Puerto Rican community, established the Puerto Rican community here in Chicago. Back then, the chair of the board, Mr. Juan Mendez, he had the idea, the vision of creating a legacy project. We were aware that we were losing that group of core leaders that were the one who founded the Puerto Rican community, that group of that migration that came to Chicago started to be fading, passing, and it was really important to document their stories, their lives, their contributions to the city. Out of that, we started to find photographs. I'm the program manager of the Visual Arts Program and the exhibition. We started to find these photographs, documents, telling us a story that perhaps sometimes we were not aware. We know a lot about the politicians, about the leaders, the big names in the Puerto Rican community, but the everyday folk was not known as much. The man that established a corner store, liquor store, a restaurant, all those stories were not being told. So we started applying for funding. Luckily, but this happened slowly, we started calling the community to bring their stories, to bring their photographs, to bring their documents. We made that public call widespread through the Midwest. We started receiving a huge amount of documents. We have to be really selective. And that's how slowly, little by little, right now we have a collection that reaches the 2,500 images and some documents. The organization, not being a museum organization, we needed to bring resources, build the infrastructure of the archive, and that took some time. On time, we built 4 collections, 4 catalogs. It's the home and family life, the migration story, social and cultural life, and professional life and military. From those 4 collections, we start noticing that there were stories that were not fitting within, and that's how we had the idea, and the need to build this LGBTQ archive.
Yeah, well, the thing that... Oh, go ahead, Ellen.
I was just going to say, Chicago seems to have a very large and proud Puerto Rican community. How did Chicago figure into the migration of Puerto Ricans into the United States?
This happened back in the 40s and 50s, and it was a different wave, different groups and waves of Puerto Ricans that came to Chicago. And this happened due to the conditions and what happened in the island. During that time, it was a lot of needs, a lack of jobs, poverty. So there was a big migration to New York. We all know about the big Puerto Rican community in New York. What is not known much is that a lot of people start traveling and trying to migrate west, mainly by car, train, and some via plane. On that trip that Puerto Ricans did, and other Latinos and other groups, to the Midwest, a lot of Puerto Ricans, if they will find a job on Cleveland, on Michigan, on Indiana, they will stay there. That's how we see all these pockets of Puerto Rican community throughout the Midwest between New York and Chicago. Because of the jobs, the availability on the steel mills, the first Puerto Rican community is established actually in the South Side, like South Chicago and Lawndale. Those were the first Puerto Rican groups that are established in Chicago. From there, later, they moved to the North Side into what is DuPont, Lincoln Park.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Thank you for the historical perspective.
Yeah, and I love the fact that with the El Archivo project that you have been working on and that you are expanding thanks to this fabulous grant from the Gaylord and Dorothy Donnelly Foundation. I love this whole notion that what you're talking about, how there was documentation of the leaders within the community, but the person who owns a corner store or who owns a bar or whatever, the regular everyday people, wasn't necessarily being archived. And I think that is such a brilliant thing and a brilliant way to capture the spirit of the community, to talk to the people who are the business owners, who are, because those sometimes the little corner market becomes almost like a community center of sorts, or, that happens in, all these different neighborhoods throughout Chicago. As you are making the shift or adding the addition of the LGBTQ plus, members of the Latinx community and the Puerto Rican community, are there any how are you planning on going? Like, how far back do you want to go? Are you looking to archive particular decades? Are you looking for something that's a little bit more contemporary and future-looking? What is kind of the aim with the LGBTQ focus of the Archivo project?
Well, the Archivo, we are looking at images and documents as far as we can. Actually, something that I failed to say is that back on 2017, 18, we had the idea, because it was approaching back then anniversary for Stonewall. We wanted to do an exhibition, the organization, my department, to celebrate Stonewall and to try to make a connection between the Latino LGBT community and what happened in New York. From there, I got the idea to identify those Stonewall moments, and that's how I call it, that occur in Chicago. And I have to say, I'm not from Chicago. I migrated here in the 90s, early 90s. I'm from the island. So I'm not that well aware of everything that was happening, how this LGBT community was built. So all this was something that I was discovering. This is how I go to Alma. I start visiting archives and other organizations, Latino organization back then that is not Amigas Latinas, en Acción. And we started meeting and talking to Julio Rodriguez, Mona Noriega, and different leaders from the community to try to find that story of how these LGBT Puerto Rican, and something that I have to say that is not only Puerto Rican, because we see that this happened amongst Latinos and African Americans. This was a process. When back in 1994 or 93, I'm sorry, a group of African Americans that were struggling to be visible on the Bud Billiken Parade, that take a movement and activate LGBTQ Latinos to say, you know, we need a space on our parade too. So Latinos start organizing, Julio Rodriguez and many other leaders, and they request and they do go through the same process that African American LGBT community will go through on the Bud Billiken Parade. It was really notable that on the Mexican parade, actually the LGBT community was really welcome. There were threats, there were criticism on the community. That was a really significant moment and decisive moment, but it went pretty much smooth. The following year, on 1994, they go to the Puerto Rican Parade Committee to find a space and to walk in that parade. Then it was a lot of backlash. There were groups, religious groups, that at that moment they were trying to not allow that participation. And that story became the core of this exhibition that it was called La Primera Parada. Actually, the exhibition opened right at the end of Stonewall anniversary, but with that, and then the pandemic started. So that exhibition is actually on display, is in our hall, but not many people have been able to see it because of the situation. Right now, we're in the process of digitizing that exhibition, so it's available.
Oh, I'd like to see that. That sounds great.
Well, you know, it sounds like... go ahead.
No, yes. From all those documents and from all those stories that I found during the research for this exhibition somewhere, I find all these amazing photographs from the archive of Alma, and also a personal archive by Roberto Castillo, who is a great activist in the Logan Square community. He has an amazing collection, so well organized by dates, by names, everything in albums and boxes, and he handed us all this material. And that was the wealth that we use in this exhibit. And actually, he donated those documents that they're going to become part of this archive.
That is
fantastic,
just fabulous, and I want to congratulate you again for receiving this wonderful grant that is able to help you continue this work. If you would like to find out more information about the Archivo project and all of the incredible things that happens at the Puerto Rican Arts Alliance, you can visit praachicago.org for more information. Again, congratulations on the work that you are doing. Congratulations on this grant from the Gaylord and Dorothy Donnelly Foundation, and much continued success as you continue to document the LGBTQ experience with the Puerto Rican and the Latinx community. So, Jorge, Felix, thank you for joining us today. Happy New Year and congratulations.
Feliz Año Nuevo. Gracias.
Thank you. Feliz Año Nuevo.
Gracias, Jorge.
Gracias. And we've got to take a quick break, and when we come back, it is the final thrilling show-stopping moments about Chicago right here on WCPT, so stick around.
Stephanie Miller.
Get vaccinated. And then there's like everybody talking about how popular the monoclonal antibodies are. 675,000 people wouldn't be dead if they were a cure. Like, why would you want to risk? And that doesn't even have FDA approval yet, does it? It's still experimental. I'm like, what? How has that somehow become the thing that people are willing to risk, COVID and being intubated?
Stephanie Miller, weekday mornings 8 to 11. Sponsored by the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park. Visit 4Porsche.com. The number 4Porsche.com.
Susan, it's so great to finally be able to get together again.
Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate you picking up the bill.
I'm happy to. I've got the extra cash. Since we've all been driving so much more again, I've been using Get Upside, the free gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, up to 25 cents a gallon. Cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Some months I make $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code PATH for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your next fill-up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code PATH for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PATH.
We're planning a trip to Spain later this year.
But our Spanish
is pretty bad.
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind. Babbel's conversation-based method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
No matter your learning style or experience level, Babbel has lessons designed for you that will get you speaking quickly and confidently.
I tried learning Spanish before, but I couldn't stick with it until I found Babbel.
There's no easier way to learn another language.
Ahora hablamos español.
He just said, now we speak Spanish.
I can't wait to use our new language skills on our upcoming adventures.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Welcome back. I'm Paul Oakley-Stovall. You're listening to Out Chicago on WCPT.
And welcome back to Out Chicago. Scott Duff here along with Ellen Miller as we kick off the new year.
Yes, the day-to-day new year where we don't know what tomorrow will bring.
Right. So clearly, I if you were just tuning in, I tested positive this morning for COVID. Fortunately, I don't feel too bad at all. So
good news is you're double vaxxed and boosted, and that's what it's for. It doesn't keep you bulletproof, but it gives you a lot milder symptoms for most people. So that's the good news.
So again, make sure that you get vaccinated, and if you're eligible for your booster shot, which I think people should be by now, make sure you get boosted. That's great, and be sure, as Ellen said at the top of the show, just want to echo that, like, listen to your body. If you feel like something is wrong, something's probably wrong.
Yep.
So go and you get that checked out. But as I am entering into my quarantine life, I figure I might as well just talk about stuff that's happening, like things that we can binge and watch and stuff. First of all, the Golden Globes, which are my favorite.
I know, mine too. Mine too.
They are no longer being aired by NBC. They have been dropped. NBC has dropped it because of all of the scandals that have been happening with the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. Their incredible lack of diversity is going on there. The way that it's basically people bought Golden Globes. Pretty much in the past, it's been a very weird, kind of corrupt organization. So there's going to be a delightful PowerPoint presentation
that we cannot watch.
Nobody can watch it. We don't even know if people are going.
Yeah.
Tonight, I think it was also supposed to be the Critics' Choice Awards that they postponed because of COVID, or they're canceled. I'm not sure what's going on, but I know that was supposed to be the big thing instead of the Golden Globes. I'm sad that the event is canceled.
Yeah, me too.
It was always my favorite because it was just like a bunch of celebrities getting boozy and hilarious.
Yeah, and it was fun after the holidays to have something to look forward to on, a cold Sunday night.
Yeah, and in terms of the world of entertainment, you never see the world of television and film squished together. And that was one of the few nights that you're able to see, like, everybody there, celebrating, goofing over each other, like being, fangirling out over one another and just having a good time. So, but I do say kudos to NBC for, all right, Hollywood Foreign Press, you need to get your organization together. So we're not going to. And
they have taken steps apparently to do that. They've supposedly, like I said, I don't know, I'm not intimately involved, but they've claimed they've brought more diversity to their organization, and we'll see. And maybe next year will be a different story.
The Academy is also
Yeah, they're not exactly.
They've also said that we've increased diversity too, and like, okay, whatever that's all about. But anyway, there are just some things that. So I know I've been watching a lot of stuff. I don't know about you. You were just in quarantine.
Yeah, that's all I did. That's all. Of course, I watched something that you would not watch, but Devin would. Last weekend, I watched tons of bowl games because they were on. There's like all these college football games, and I just watched one after the other because I did.
Good.
But I also watched some. We both saw Don't Look Up. Apparently.
Yes. What did you think? Okay, so Don't Look Up is what is that on? I forget which one. Is it Netflix or Prime? Netflix. I think it's.
I don't remember.
I think it's on Netflix, but it stars Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence
and Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep's. Everybody's in it. It's great, but it's Leonardo DiCaprio. Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Lawrence is a grad student who discovers a comet that is hurtling towards Earth, which means the extinction of the planet. They've gone over their things, and Leonardo DiCaprio, Leo and Jennifer, they've tried to go and let everybody know that the end is indeed coming, and everybody just refuses to believe it.
Surprise, surprise.
Yes, it's kind of an allegory. It's a satire, definitely, about American politics, world politics, possibly maybe has something to do with a pandemic. I don't know. But what did you think of it?
Well, I was laughing in the beginning at lots of it because the parody was just incredible and funny to me. I ended up enjoying the movie. It's to me though, it's both funny and scary and sad all at once. I will tell you, people either love this movie or hate this movie. There's very little in between. To me,
that's true.
It either.
I don't know. I was kind of indifferent to it because we started watching it on like somewhere around Christmas, and then we actually stopped it because people were falling asleep. But what was so weird, I remember we stopped about 45 minutes into the movie, and for like bathroom breaks and everything, and the people that we were with are like, okay, I just don't know what the tone is of the movie, and that's a problem when you're 45 minutes into it, because I thought it was great. There was wonderful satire and great, like I thought it was funny and strange, but then like the way that it was put together, it seemed to me that there was some, I don't know, it was just weird. It was
you say
edited.
About the tone, like, those of us that feel a certain way, I think, want to see a certain tone. And this movie was at once, you can tell they were, using the Donald Trump type character, but they were also taking liberal types and media types and satirizing them as well. So it made people feel uncomfortable because I think some of us wanted to see it from our lens a little bit. And
that wasn't the tone that bothered me. It was the little intercuts between things where something would be very, very funny, and then they'd show like insects eating each other and like a weird sort of the little montages between scenes.
I forgot about. I blocked that out because it was weird to me. And I agree.
That's what I mean. Like it kind of took you out of this, this satire and brought you into this reality. But then by the end, I was on board. I thought the ending was wonderful.
People universally like the ending. They do like the ending.
Because it's totally manipulative. Like, it was a manipulative way to get us to this very emotional ending, and I was on board for it. Like, I will take it. I wasn't bored by it.
No, I wasn't at all.
So if you want to see a movie about the end of the world,
check it out.
Check it out.
But there are some laughs. I mean, there's some things that are hysterical in it, too.
Performances are great.
Yeah, the performances are great.
And I was just so confused by Jennifer Lawrence's bangs through most of it. I was like, what's going on? Did you cut those with safety scissors?
Yeah, they were weird now that you mention it.
They were very odd. I also, Being the Ricardos, we both saw.
We both saw that.
What did you think?
I enjoyed it.
Okay, here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought I would say this. I loved Nicole Kidman. I thought Nicole Kidman as Lucille Ball was freaking amazing, especially when they did some of the classic I Love Lucy bits.
Yeah, she was great.
She was remarkable. I thought the acting across the board was remarkable. I don't know what we were supposed to learn. Like there was something in the script was good.
I didn't know about the communist plot I didn't know. I didn't really know that much about that. So I did learn more about that than what she went through and what they, going through. None of us, of course, could know during the filming in that particular week, and the pressure and the stress, and that was something I learned. Maybe you were already aware of her being accused of being a communist.
Taking away, I don't know. Like I enjoyed it. Again, was not bored with a single minute of it.
I wasn't either.
Nicole Kidman was phenomenal. So if you're at home with COVID,
like so many of you are, sadly.
Like so many of you are. Me too.
This too will pass.
Then I would take that out. Also, you need to watch The Landscapers on HBO.
Okay, Scott says we got to watch The Landscapers, sweetie. You listening? Oh,
on HBO Max.
Speaking of listening, sounds like we're out.
I know, it's time for us to go. So I want to thank all of our guests, Tanya Richard, Angela Barnes, Renata Riddle, and Jorge Felix for joining us today. Devin, thank you for being so awesome and last minute for setting up the home studio on the fly. Paul, you even did a pretty good job today too. I'm very excited about that. Ella Miller, thank you for being there and looking gorgeous.
Thank you, Scott. Feel better.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. I feel okay. Hopefully next week we can be together in person.
Fingers
Happy New Year to everybody out there. And until next week, I'm Scott Duff. So
stay proud.